Welcome to BNEWS Weekly. I'm Phil Gallagher, along with BNews producer Sydney Bowles, BNews reporters Tad Stefanak, Robert Paris, and Juliana McGrain, Peter Brown with the weather, and Gretchen Carey with the community calendar. Thank you for joining us. We begin this week with the latest from the effort to rebuild the Fox Hill Elementary School. In a school building committee meeting Thursday, school officials voted to submit what's called the Preliminary Design Program, or PDP, for new Fox Hill. The PDP includes multiple versions, including rebuilding the school for 325 students or combining it with Pine Glen in a larger 640 student design. In one plan, informally called the butterfly model for Fox Hill and Pine Glen would retain separate identities and separate classroom spaces on the Fox Hill site, but would share gym and cafeteria spaces in the middle. The town originally approached the Mass School Building Authority, on the MSBA, for funding to replace just Fox Hill, which was built in 1967 and is no longer serving student needs. But the state agency required Burlington to consider combining the repair with Pine Glen, which is even older than Fox Hill and has also outlived its natural life. The possibility of combining the two schools has drawn the concern of some parents, teachers, and community members who worry about traffic, worse education outcomes, and the loss of feeling of community around the four-school model. In a community presentation Tuesday, school design professionals described multiple possible futures for the school and heard responses from town residents. Community member Michael McCarthy, who lives near Fox Hill, decried the so-called butterfly model.
At one point during the presentation, the comment was made about the town's desire to have four schools, and that's what we prefer as well. But I think it's maybe been a little bit misunderstood, misconstrued, that when we say that, we're talking about four schools at four sites. What you're talking about is four schools at three sites. And you can build a huge school up the street from us here and, give it two names, but, you're really not fooling anybody with that. Not that I'm saying that's your intent, but it's really just one school.
The Burlington Elementary School Building Committee is submitting its educational plans to the MSBA now, and it will home in on final design choices over the roughly next 6 months. Town meeting will need to vote on the final design and funding, likely in September of 2024. If Burlington chooses an option that MSBA will not support, such as renovating both schools, we may need to finance the entire project with local tax dollars. There's been no comparison of those with MSBA or without at this point. Construction is expected to begin in 2026 and conclude around 2030. More information is available on the School Building Committee website, Fox Hill Building, there it is up there, foxhillbuildingproject.com. Okay. Burlington has lost two prominent members of the community. Recently, Carlton Boutwell and William Boudreau Jr. Have passed away. Carl Boutwell graduated from Woburn High School in class of 1964 and made Woburn his home, but he served on the Burlington Police Force for 28 years. He retired as captain in 2011. He will also be remembered for the impact he had in Woburn as a member of the Woburn High School football coaching staff for over 30 years. Carl died peacefully on June 28th with his family by his side. He was 77. And in another loss to the Burlington community, Bill Boudreau passed away unexpectedly on July 9th at the age of 91. Born in Cambridge, Bill served in the Navy in the Korean War, earning the Korean Service Medal and the National Defense Service Medal. A longtime volunteer with the Recreation Department, he came to work for the department in 1979 in the newly created position of Assistant Director. Alongside former Director Don Roberts, he oversaw the growth of the department from offering 20 programs to offering over 200, and he expanded on programs that are still offered today, like softball, concert on the Common, and movies on the Common, and more. Recreation Commission Chair Kevin Sullivan took a moment in Monday's meeting to acknowledge the loss.
One of his most memorable moments was being a member of the Burlington Recreation Department and being selected as Burlington's Outstanding Citizen in 1981. By the Junior Women's Club, and again in 2005 by the Burlington Rotary Club. Bill worked his entire career in Burlington with longtime director Don Roberts. He was elected as an original member of the Burlington Parks and Recreation Hall of Fame in 2017. So to Bill and your to Mr. Boudreau's family, we're sorry for your loss, and let's just stand for a moment of silence, please.
That was Commission Member Norton. We apologize. We send our sympathies to the family of both Bill Boudreau and Carl Beltwell. Middlesex Judge Shelby Smith found that a fatal police shooting in Burlington last year was, quote, reasonable, and that any police officer would have reasonably believed he or she was in danger. That's according to Mass Live. According to previous reporting from BCAT and from Mass Live, 42-year-old Burlington resident Paul Quartermanch called 911 on January 23, 2022, saying he was having mental health issues. Quartermanch allegedly told the dispatcher he had a knife and was unsure how he would respond when officers arrived. When police arrived at his apartment, Quartermanch allegedly came out of the building wielding a knife and moved towards the officers. One officer fired a less than lethal gunshot that did not stop Quartermanch's advance, at which point a second officer fired 2 shots, which did kill him. In court findings, Mass Live reported Judge Smith found that no reasonable alternative existed except for the use of deadly force. There was no explanation as why this investigation hung over the officer for over a year and a half. State Senator Cindy Friedman stopped by the Burlington Democratic Town Committee recently to give updates on her work and listen to the concerns of the community. Friedman talked about her efforts to make it easier for more people to become certified nursing assistants in order to ease a shortage, and she also touched on what the legislature could do about the struggling MBTA. Here she is.
Well, we're giving them a lot of money. We have we now have, because of the Fair Share Amendment, half of that tax money that's coming from people making over $1 million, half of that is going to transportation. Let's be clear, when you don't take care of something for 30 years, you can't fix it in a month. And the hardest thing that we have before us is to keep fixing it. Even though right now it looks horrible, if we stop, it will just be worse.
A Burlington-based company is part of a major merger shaking up the 3D printing industry. Since its founding in 2015, Desktop Metal has grown to a team of more than 1,000 employees with engineering facilities in 6 states and 5 countries. Now it's announced it's merging with Stratasys, a much larger 3D printing company, in a transaction valued at $1.8 billion. According to Forbes, Stratasys has the largest market share of any company in the 3D printing industry. Following this transaction, Desktop Metal co-founder and CEO Rick Fulop will be the chairman of the board of the new company, while Stratasys CEO Yov Azaif will continue as CEO. Stratasys and Desktop Metal are expected to generate $1.1 billion in revenue in 2025. More than 1,200 participants stood up to support the Leahy Cancer Institute's 5K walk and run earlier this summer, raising over $279,000 for cancer care. The fundraising event, held at Leahy Hospital and Medical Center in Burlington, celebrates the Leahy Cancer Institute's patients, celebrates its survivors, remembers those who have been lost, and highlights its talented team of medical professionals. In all, 66 teams participated. The top fundraising teams were the Cancer Crusaders, Jeans Angels, and the Team True North. Speaking of Leahy, the medical center has been recognized for its excellence in heart health care. Leahy has received the American College of Cardiology's 2023 Heart Care Center National Distinction of Excellence. The award recognizes the Department of Cardiovascular Medicine for providing the highest quality care to patients and fostering a culture of quality improvement. Burlington archivist Dan McCormick looks at a lot of documents, but it's not often he sees one that sheds light on a poorly understood era in Burlington history. BNews producer Sydney Bowles paid him a visit to take a look at the 110-year-old document.
A couple of years ago, a member of the Burlington Historical Society delivered a folded piece of paper to Dan McCormick in the town archives.
I unfolded it, looked at it, and was rather impressed by the right-hand column.
The document is a list of voters in Burlington from October of 1913, and in the right-hand column is a list of women voters, 9 of them in the whole town. Women wouldn't be granted full suffrage until 1920, but Massachusetts allowed women to vote in school committee races beginning in 1879. But this voter list was for a state election, McCormick says.
So all these women who are listed here would not have been eligible to vote in the election for which this voter list was produced. To go up there, for example, let's say you're one of the women who's listed there. You go to the polling place with your husband. He draws his ballot, and his name is up there on the list, and the registrars check it off. You say you see your name there, but you can't have a ballot. That has got to be a bit of an issue.
Town Clerk Amy Warfield, who handles voting in town today, says the document raises a lot of questions about this era in voting.
The thing we don't know, because we don't have any evidences of this, is when they went to vote, were they given a ballot that just had the school vote on it? Or were they given a ballot and then that ballot had to be looked at? Like, did they deposit it in a separate box or something like that?
The document has been fairly well preserved over the years, but it's brittle and it's starting to turn brown where it's been folded.
Since this document is 110 years old now, or just about 110 years old. We would like to have this taken and professionally conserved.
He hopes to send it to the Northeast Document Conservation Center in Andover. McCormick says he's still looking for more information about this era in voting rights in Burlington, and he hopes anyone with family stories or historical documents will get in touch. For BNews Weekly, I'm Sydney Bowles.
Burlington Sculpture Park held a sketching event recently where members of the community were invited to make art about art. BNews reporter Juliana McGrain has this report.
Kids and parents got an opportunity to try their luck at sketching their favorite sculptures at the Burlington Sculpture Park on Saturday, June 3rd, with materials provided by the Burlington High School Art Department.
Way back 5-6 years ago, it was my idea, but now it's a whole town project, and as you can see, there's lots of people getting involved, and it's great.
Despite a conflicting prediction in the weather, the event had a nice turnout.
And we're just excited that people are coming out and enjoying the artwork, even on this rainy day. The weather is a little tough today, but we are pleased that people are still coming out and they're drawing their favorite sculpture. People of all ages participating, and at the end there'll be raffles and prizes to the people who win are $25 gift certificates to Schoolhouse Ice Cream donated by Brenda Rappaport from Showcase of Homes, and we have lots of free food and drinks donated by Wegmans, and we're just excited that people are coming out and enjoying the artwork even on this rainy day.
BHS art teacher George Rakovich explains the importance of bringing the magic of art into a community.
Bringing the arts to the public, I think, is a really great thing and an important thing, and we don't have enough of that in towns in general. The idea behind having this event was just to encourage people to be here and to use the space. So hopefully now that they're here, they'll return and they'll come back and they'll just take a moment to breathe a little bit and to look at some cool art.
From the Burlington Sculpture Park, this is Juliana McGrain for BNews Weekly.
Burlington's 11-under Cal Ripken baseball team is going far this year. BNews sports reporter Robert Paris caught up with the young athletes before they head to Maine for a regional championship. Let's watch.
The 11U Cal Ripken Burlington baseball team is heading to North Berwick, Maine on the weekend of July 14th for the New England Regional Championship. Before their departure, I caught up with the coaches and athletes at the 11U District Finals at Simons Park.
You know, we've come a long way, and we're really excited to be going to what we're doing, going up to Maine to play in the regionals. They're not doing states this year, so did we luck out? Yeah, maybe we're in the regionals. We're going to be playing other states as opposed to like the teams around us. But yeah, we're really excited.
Burlington has improved to a competitive level over the past 2 years, thanks to the athletes' dedication and commitment on the playing field.
Our fielding's been a lot better than it has been the past 2 years. We're making plays on D. Our pitching's been awesome, and then our guys are hitting, and the guys that we need to hit are hitting, so everything's been working out pretty well for us.
It will be a busy weekend ahead as the team is scheduled to play back-to-back days on July 15th and 16th. Their hope is to take the title back to town.
We have opening day ceremonies Saturday morning. We play 2 games. You know, you go 2-0, you'll get into the next day. We'll play 3 games total. Depending on our record, we'll move on. If you get undefeated, and then you'll get into the finals Sunday afternoon.
As for the athletes, they have been enjoying the experiences with their teammates and the coaching staff.
Being part of it is like it was one of my goals when I was younger. When I was playing like t-ball, I wanted to be one of the best I could be, and I've come pretty far with this team, and I hope we can win regionals too.
It's actually been a very great experience because the last few years we haven't really made it as far, and playing with this team is very awesome because, you know, everyone works very hard and they try to stay on the same level as everyone, and we try to go above and beyond.
It's great to just be a part of this team with great coaches. All of these guys have played baseball for like a long time, so it's great to just be a part of a team like this.
Having to be with a team that made it to regionals this year, and I hope to have fun this year. And my team they're all nice, they're good kids. I like them all. Same thing with our coaches, they're all good guys.
Maine is definitely going to be fun, but the teams are going to be harder than these teams, and we have to do really good to win.
We've been doing really good, and all the teams are great, so we got to play our best.
It's fun being on this team, making the all-star teams. I feel like we've really connected over the last 2 summers, or at least for as long as I've been here. It's been probably the 2 best baseball seasons I've ever had too, so I'm just really happy to be a part of this team.
Learned a lot, and we're only going to continue to do that. It's great that we're winning, and yeah, feel great about it.
I'm happy we're making it all the way up to the districts. It's going to be fun, really, Maine. It's a very good team. Energy's awesome up here. It's very nice.
We want to wish the best of luck to all the athletes competing in North Berwick, Maine.
We've been at it for a month, so it's happy to see everything kind of come into fruition here and just kind of go from there.
From Simons Park, I'm Robert Paris for BNEWS Sports.
Good luck to our bunch of well-spoken young ball players. MetaMovements is back at the Burlington Mall. The dance company is bringing its popular Sunset Salsa program back this month. Participants can enjoy a half hour of salsa lessons, followed by a party with a live DJ and social dancing, as well as performances by Boston-based Latin dance companies. The event is scheduled for June 20th at 6 p.m. Now it's time for the weather with Peter Brown, and if you've been going outside at all this summer or playing golf, you won't be surprised to hear we're looking at even more rain in the next few days. Stay tuned after the forecast for your community calendar with Gretchen Carey.
Well, hello everyone, this is Peter Brown with Look at Your Weather for the next 7 days. I hope you've been having a great summer so far. I know, unfortunately, for those of you who've been traveling anywhere really throughout New England this summer, it has just been heavy rain, very humid, very cloudy. We've only had maybe a handful of days where we've seen wall-to-wall sunshine here in the Burlington area. In fact, anywhere really here in southern and central New England, we have just had a very, very soggy go of it. So we have not had the best summer, nothing compared to like what we had last year. The only caveat to this is we are definitely not in any threat of any drought conditions anytime soon, which is some great news. Now, starting up here on Friday, advertised at this time of the year should be in the mid to upper 80s. We're going to be a little bit cooler than that, of course, with that cloud cover still going to be around. And as we get towards the end of the period next Thursday, this is climatologically July 20th, the warmest day of the year. Here's something we haven't seen in quite a while. We're expecting to see above average temperatures. And I'm seeing that more as we get towards the latter portion of the period, middle portion of next week. So we have to wait a few days to see that type of weather come. But of course, the precipitation chances are nothing new. We're going to be expecting above average precipitation as we see this warm, humid flow off of the Atlantic from the south of New England heading into the New England area. And that looks like that's going to continue on for quite some time to come. So as we go ahead, let's take a look at those 7 days of weather coming up. And again, pretty much what you see is what you get. We're starting on our period this weekend. We're going to see those showers almost every day until we get to the middle of the work week next week. Temperatures not varying too much, pretty much from the low 80s up into maybe the mid to upper 80s by the time we get into Monday, but a chance of showers and thunderstorms with some brief heavy downpours here and there. As we get in towards Wednesday and Thursday of next week, however, we're going to see the sun come out. Temperatures going to boost up probably between 85 and 90, and it is going to still be very humid out there as we stay in this southerly flow of air. So everyone, get out there, enjoy the weather, and have a great week.
Hi, I'm Amy Poehler, and you're watching BCAT. Go Red Devils.
Hey everyone, I'm Gretchen Carey, and this is your Community Calendar. On July 19th from 4 to 7 p.m., Wayside Commons will be having a farmers and artisan market. There will be more than 15 vendors from specialty foods, desserts, crafts, jewelry, food trucks, and more. The event will be held rain or shine. For a list of the events, go to shopwayside.com. On July 20th from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m., the Burlington Public Library will be having the Bonaparte Magic Show performing for families. Pre-registration for this event is required. On July 21st from 7 to 9 p.m., the Made in Burlington store will be having a beach string art class. Pre-registration is required. I'm Gretchen Carey.
A full calendar of events is available at our website at bcattv.org/events. And as we do every week, we'd like to share a photo sent in from a member of the community. Steve Moran shared this sunrise photo from a recent run around the high school track. Thank you, Steve. If you have a photo you'd like to share, email it to us at bcattv.org with the subject line Photo of the Week. And that's it for our show this week. We leave you with a montage by Christina Nikitas at Concerts on the Common. And stay tuned after the credits for Chamber Spotlight with Tad Stefanak and Sonia Rollins. Thank you for joining us.
Sonia Rollins here for Chamber Spotlight. We are at Parm at the Burlington Mall. Thrilled to be able to speak with Chef Jeremy, who's going to talk about how all their different homemade options that are made in-house every day. They're going to be telling us how they brought Little Italy and a little version of that into our own town. Join us inside. You know, we're excited to have Parm in Burlington in general. I know you've been here for a bit. Talk about Burlington first, you know, why you chose coming to Burlington or why Parm chose to come here.
We were really looking to find a space to sort of recreate the experience of walking down the streets of Little Italy in Manhattan. You know, you walk down, plenty of restaurants, tons of options. And where do you find, outside of an environment like New York or Boston, that Little Italy experience? You're going to find it in a mall. We wanted to bring our fresh product here, a family-oriented product here, and here we are.
And I love that because really Burlington, as you probably have now seen, is really a little mecca of restaurants. So it is really nice to bring a concept like this because it doesn't really exist here right now, this philosophy of a Little Italy, for lack of a better term, with some fresh things, right?
And we're excited to be here. It's been about a year, and we found a lot of really great feedback from the community. We've learned a lot, certainly along the way, and we're looking forward to continuing to grow with this community.
You know, obviously an Italian restaurant, but talk about its uniqueness, talk about its family environment.
It was really meant for the quick commuter, someone coming in, grab a sandwich, out the door. As we've grown into multiple restaurants in New York City, we really started to think about how do we appeal to larger groups of people. Here in Burlington, for example, got 120 seats in the dining room, got a beautiful patio, 40 seats, private dining room for up to 24. We've grown but stayed committed to our chef-driven concept. You know, it was just a total commitment to, we make everything in-house. Our sauce, our cheese, our pasta, even the bread we started sourcing from a very local bakery in Little Italy. It's our recipe. Nobody else has it. It's the tops.
It's the tops. I love that. You're a foodie. Every chef is, but you're a foodie.
Oh, no, for sure. I mean, I have a passion for restaurants. I enjoy the hospitality aspect of this job.
And speaking of hospitality, look at this,
You
right?
cannot go wrong with a spritz.
You're a family environment, so certainly families can come in and sit, but there's always a nice little thought process about sitting at a bar and having something to eat and a drink.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about these two drinks because they're good looking. Everyone knows an Aperol Spritz. It's a great summer drink, but
We really honor the classics at Major Food Group across all of our concepts. So
Yes.
this is going to be a classic Aperol Spritz. Everyone's going nuts for them these days. We are equipped with a full bar, though, so that we do have the occasional guest who will request a limoncello Spritz. You might want to spritz it up a bit.
Yes.
And then we have an espresso martini, which has become super popular of late. A little bit of coffee that'll wake you up.
Right, exactly. Now, speaking of food, what's your favorite? If someone were to come in here and you were to say to them, this is what you really have to have at Parm, what would that be?
If you want to go for one of our classics, you got to go for either one of our signature heroes, which is going to be our house roasted turkey. We make the turkey here in house. The roast beef, same deal, medium rare, perfect cook. House pulled mozzarella for that as well. And then we also have the classic chicken parm. We are Parm.
Yes, right. And chicken parm. Who can go wrong with chicken parm, really? Right?
You know, we have put a lot of effort into building that dish to be exactly what we want it to be. It's been a lot of research, a lot of adaptations, and we find ourselves finally at the perfect moment.
Let's also talk about private dining.
There's a private dining room in the back, yep. You could probably do about 48, 60 people in there, but we can also do a full reception in the dining room.
You're open for lunch and dinner?
Lunch and dinner, and we have a full catering program as well.
People could come and pick it up, or it could be delivered.
Correct.
Chef, I understand we're going to be making something today in the kitchen. Can you tell us what that's going to be?
Absolutely. We're going to do our chicken Milanese, classic interpretation of one of the best dishes you can have, summertime, springtime, light, fun, fantastic. All right, guys, let's make some chicken Milanese.
Chef, talk to me about chicken cutlets, because everybody has a little bit of a different something about cutlets. Like you have to pound them, you have to double bread them. Let's get the scoop.
It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. Flour, egg, breadcrumb. The thing that makes ours special is that we make our breadcrumbs here in house. We get our chicken breasts in, we break them down. I like them thin, but not too thin.
Yes.
So we get a nice little thickness on it. Then, once we have our flour on, egg, we wait till absolutely the last second to bread them, because that ensures you can get the crispiest possible crunch on that crust. We like bites on the edges, but nice and smooth in the center. So you get a nice dark circle on the outside, consistent on the inside. A little bit of garlic, fresh thyme, always. Now that we're really cooking, gonna go ahead and grab that little knob of butter. Oh, we're just gonna use it to get a little bit more color, a little sizzle up nice.
You know, I always ask this of chefs as well. People with allergies, is gluten-free pasta, things like that, an option at Parm?
Absolutely, absolutely. We buy a beautiful imported Italian pasta from Naples, and it is 100% gluten-free facility. Cook it in its own water. We're committed to that.
Beautiful, because that is very important, actually. So it's good for the viewing population to know if they are gluten-free, they can still enjoy it here.
Absolutely, absolutely. We would never want to turn anyone away. So now we're going to go ahead and start this basting process. And we do this just to ensure that we're getting a nice even crust on whatever we're cooking. So you can see now we're starting to darken up a little bit where we had previously been kind of blonde.
Now the flavors of the garlic and the herbs, the chicken takes it on just because it's in the pan with it?
Absolutely. That's why we're toasting it. The people of Boston and Burlington are well familiar with the chicken cutlet, but when we can add the high octane heat, all of the restaurant quality ingredients and all the technique that we're putting into it, it's a different experience. So we're gonna go ahead, drain off some of this excess grease. Always give it a nice flip. We are checking, making sure we get that nice caramelized bit on there. Boom. Seasoning action that we got. When I lived in Italy, I learned very quickly, simplicity goes so far.
Yes.
Beautiful ingredients, fresh ingredients. We got this great arugula right here. We're gonna throw in some grape tomatoes. We're gonna hit it with this vinaigrette. This is our lemon vin. We make this every day. Very simple, olive oil, garlic, chili flake, a couple other things that I can't tell you about, but
Yeah,
all good
exactly.
stuff.
Other stuff.
We're just going to give it a nice little toss, give it a little bit more seasoning. We're now going to take the beautiful cutlet that we labored over, go ahead and transport it. I mean, look at the size of this thing. Basically filling the plate
Exactly
completely.
right. Yeah.
And it's a beautiful dish because you know what? You can eat it here. Because there's no sauce on this one, unlike the chicken parm, it's going to remain crunchy. Take it to go. Throw it in your container, have it in the car on the way back. There's traffic, whatever.
I love that you talked about the to-go part because it was my next question for you. So, you know, when people see restaurants like this, they assume that they have to come in and do, you know, in-house dining, but you have a whole to-go. You can order things and pick it up.
Absolutely, absolutely. There are a couple ways to do it. Come into the restaurant, places to go order. Go online while you're on your way over here. Visit our website, Parm Italian, and boom, you're good to go. It wouldn't be Parm if we didn't, of course, throw on a bit of that beautiful Parmigiano Reggiano. Nice ribbons on there. Not too many because it is a lighter dish, allegedly, but you know, sometimes we'll have guests in here and they'll be like, come on, let's hit it up nice, you know? And of course, who are we to not indulge?
100%.
A little bit of lemon for those who like their cutlet, a little bit extra acidity, and boom, our chicken Milanese.
Stunning. I hope you enjoyed today's edition of Chamber Spotlight, where we highlighted a little slice of Little Italy here at our own Burlington Mall. Don't forget to bring the family and come on down to Parm, or sit down at the bar, have yourself a drink, take something home. There are so many options for you here. For Back Talk, I'm Sonia Rollins.